Okay, hello again. Hope everybody had a nice lunch. Okay, we're going to do some more experiential things today. And we'll, change the slide. This is going to be similar to what we did yesterday, but it'll be a little more complicated. So when we do the healing, I'm going to introduce some more tools that you can use. Now, you don't have to use my tools. My tools are just an example, okay? You can use your own tools. Matter of fact, it's better if you use your own tools because nobody can make a tool that suits you any better than you. You see, something that helps you focus your intent, which is the idea of the tool. Again, I'm going to go quickly. I'm not going to give you a lot of time. When people have too much time, their intellect starts to wake up and get in the way and intrude. It's better that I go quickly and you have very little time to think about it. The more time you have to think about it, probably the less you're likely to succeed with it. Although in this circumstance, succeeding is just the experiencing. I'm just giving you an outline so you will be able to go back on your own and do your own experiments. A good way to do these experiments is to work with a friend, and each of you know people who are ill. Talk to older people. You find older people know lots of their older friends who have physical problems. So go talk to your grandmother or go talk to your parents or somebody, a friend, a neighbor, and ask them, do you know anybody who has a health problem? And if so, don't tell me about them. Just write down, first name and initial, or call it Mr. X if you want, or Madam Y, that would work. And I will go try to diagnose and heal, and then I'll come back and ask you what sort of problem they had. So if you don't know, between now and then, would you get in touch and find out more details about it? So if you do this and a friend does that, then your friend can work on the unhealthy subjects that you get, because it's not likely that he's going to know your family and the people that your family knows, and vice versa. So that makes it really a kind of a double-blind experiment where you work on each other's things. And then you can find out. You can go back to that person after you're done and say what was wrong and see if your diagnosing is correct. Now, you may not know about your healing, how correct that is, unless you get updates every once in a while. What happened? Did that person get better? Did he get better right away? Did they get better the next week? And how did they get better? And then you just keep that as a data point. One data point doesn't make a trend. It certainly doesn't define a rule. So you have to do it over and over again to where you get some feel for what you're actually doing, what effect that you're having. If you don't seem to be having much of an effect, then change the way you go about it. Typically, you would first go into a bit of a meditation state. You might not necessarily end up with point consciousness, but you can at least get in a good meditation state and start from there. But one of the things that I want you to experience here is we're not going to start with a meditation state this time. We're just going to start. And you can see that you can do just as well without it if you need to, or you can get into it as you go. See, when I say look at a humanoid shape, well, that's using that visual, right? It's taking your thoughts out because I'm giving you something to focus on. And you'll see that even without process, you'll start to get into a meditation state anyway, even if we don't start with that. Okay, it's not the end product, it's just the experience that matters here. Don't feel like there's right answer and wrong answer. What I want you to do is just see some of the tools, experience some of the doing it so you can go do it on your own. Now you know when we do this remote viewing, you're accessing data from a database. You should also know that you don't necessarily need to see the whole object. When you get an idea, when you're looking at that screen, you may just get something that is an element, an architectural element, like the first one we did with a big saw. You may have gotten a circle and a jagged line. And the jagged line might not have been around the edge of the circle. It may have just been a jagged line running off to the side. You see, you can get pieces like that. And don't not write them down because they don't make sense to you. If you wait for it to make sense to you, you'll generally get in the way of the whole process. You have to be able to live with uncertainty. I don't know what this is, but this is what I saw. That's the way to do it. Now, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to write that down until I, really get an idea what it is. That's the wrong approach. The right approach is just whatever you get, a little line, a little squiggle. Oh, I saw a line here and a little dot over there. You make the line, make your dot. Next time, go back and see if that's what you get again. Maybe next time you'll get a wiggly line down here. The people who do this really well, kind of the professional remote viewers, they actually start drawing while they're remote viewing, and it looks like they're, how artist draws. If an artist is drawing a picture, you can't tell what the picture is until they're about halfway through it. That's the way I've seen a lot of remote viewers do. They'll go in and they'll make a line. And they'll think for a minute, and then they'll, it's like, what's that? Tic-tac-toe, and then they'll do this. And before long, it turns out to be a cart with a donkey on it, or something like that. And it turns into something, but it's not because they saw a picture of a cart and a donkey. It's because they saw the slash, and then they saw that slash, and they get a sequence of things, and they learn just to, as they see it, they put it down, and it ends up building a picture. And they may never have seen a picture of a donkey and a cart, but they actually drew one, just from things they saw. So don't wait for whole pictures of whole things. All right. Let's see. We're going to access some databases now in our remote viewing and in our healing. We're going to manipulate time here. We're going to go forward and backward in time. It's one of the little tools that I'm going to show you. Again, let all this come to you. Let the information come to you. Don't go out to get it. Okay, we'll go to the next one. And next slide. About positive identifications. When you do remote viewing or a healing, when you're getting this data from the database, you don't need anything more than a unique address. So like we were talking about the remote viewers with the envelope, a unique address is the directions in that envelope that guy's holding. That's a unique address. There's only one guy standing there holding it with an envelope, and that envelope only has one address, one set of coordinates in it. So that is a unique address. Even if you don't know his name, you don't know anything else. So if we go to, to Susie Q or whomever the name is, there may be 10,000 people who have the name and initials Susie Q, but that's okay. You have to think of, it's that Susie Q that is the subject of this particular experiment. That's the Susie Q you want to go to. And if you just say Susie Q in your intent, may or may not work very well for you, because you may have some other Susie Q someplace else that doesn't have anything to do with this. So again, the intention has to be specific. So I'll just tell you to go see Susie Q's health body, but you have to intend that it's this particular person or that particular object. And that's true with all what we're doing. And you noticed before I said, hold that intent. And you might have wondered what that was about. Well, you have to learn to hold things in your intention, hold things in your mind. Because if you have an intention I turn the body around first and I say, you're looking at the back, right? That's your right is its right. Well, otherwise, if you see that it has a problem over here on the right side and you haven't started with that intent, it may have been on the left side because they may have been facing you. If you don't specify the orientation, then you'll get a random draw between the two possibilities. You may get the left side, you may get the right side, if you don't specify those things. Now, a lot of times when you're just healing, it doesn't matter. You just want to see where the dark spot is, and if the dark spot's on the left or right matters not to you, you're going to heal it, right? So why bother getting it right? But if you're doing diagnosing, and then you're checking it against truth data, then you want to know, is it left or right? And that's how you have to do that step with your intention. If you don't focus tightly on your intention and then hold that focus, then your mind wanders off and is liable to do anything, and then you're liable to get anything. So that's why you see meditation is so important, because that's where you learn to get rid of the noise and keep it away, so you're not constantly in struggle with your thoughts, and that your intention is firm and stays your intention throughout the whole exercise. So even though I start with, intend, that you're looking at an energy body and hold it, all the way to the end of the exercise, every time you go back and look at that body, it has to be the same intention, or you have to repeat the intention that it happens to be the Suzy Q that is part of this experiment, not just any Suzy Q. And you can't take it for granted that the system will know what you're thinking or what you're talking about. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Be specific. Be clear with all your intentions. Okay, we do next slide. Okay, we said this before, but I'll reiterate it. The point is not the result. Don't get, right answer anxiety, where you really want desperately to get the right answer. So you have anxiety about it because that will get in your way. You just have to say, I'm going to do it. I'll get whatever answer I get, and we'll see what happens. All right, it's the process that's important. This is a learning experience, an experiment. We're going to skip all the preparation. Just let it happen. Do the best you can. You get behind, just catch up later. Try to get into it, be immersed, be 100% into the exercise. So you're not really hearing, thinking, doing anything else. You're just in that exercise. And if you hear yourself chattering, judging, trying to second guess, wondering, whether this was real or should you try it again, or was that good, or what did I really see there? Was that a wiggly line like I thought? You see, just put the wiggly line down where you saw it. Don't second guess it. Don't try to keep, well, I'm not sure. Let me try again. Well, the fact that you're trying too hard gets in the way. Just open and let it come. Don't go out and try to grab it. Just open to it and see what happens. Don't worry about being rational. It's not a rational exercise. I could say rational people don't try to heal other people with their mind, right? But that's not right. We are rational people, but we don't want to worry about it making sense. It doesn't have to make sense. We're beyond making sense with this. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's a being level exercise. You're executing this out of your being level, and you need your mind to sit down and be quiet until we're done. So that's the way to think of it. Your beliefs can get in the way. The very worst belief that you can have will be, I don't think this is possible. I don't think I can do it. I'm not good at this kind of thing. I've tried it before and it didn't work. You have all these beliefs will get in the way. Again, no expectations. Just do it. See what happens. Okay. Don't worry about the details. Be comfortable. Go to the next slide. And there's going to be 6 exercises, one more than yesterday. There's going to be 2 diagnosing and healing like yesterday. There's going to be 3 remote viewing instead of the 2. And then I'm going to, again, give you a personal choice where you can remote view or heal and when you want to. And now maybe would be a good time to think of what you're going to do with that. When you're in that meditation state and you're there and I say, go have a personal choice. Now, you need that intellect that you told to sit down and be quiet. And you may stumble over that, at least if your intellect's paying attention. And it may be difficult for you to get your bearings and figure out really what you want to do. And by the time you figure out what you want to do, you've kind of lost your state and so on. So it'd be kind of a good idea now to think, what am I going to do then? What would I like to look at, remote view, or who would I like to diagnose and heal? Or maybe not diagnose, just heal. or maybe just diagnose. Whatever it is, it's a free session. Do what you want and practice your own tools, or practice the tools that I give you as examples and see how they feel, see how it works. But I won't be telling you what to do, so you just do it at your own speed. But move quickly through it, otherwise, if you let that intellect alone too long, it will start to talk to you. Okay, again, I need to read this for our YouTube viewers who will be accumulating over the next couple of decades. For those watching the video, pretend that you were looking at these people and remote viewing these objects as they were on May 30th, 2015. Your efforts to diagnose and heal will still be applied to generally promote their better health. Whether the remote viewing test objects exist or not makes no difference. You will still see them as they were on May the 30th, 2015. All right. So we are going to start on our first healing exercise. So you have your little papers, and if everybody's ready, then okay, you can just kind of close your eyes and relax, and we'll start. See or imagine a 3D humanoid outline. Intend clearly that this humanoid outline represents the physical health energy body of Pascal T, as it is at this moment, and hold that intent. Intend clearly that the energy that represents health in this energy body be white, and what represents a health problem be dark. The more serious the problem, the darker the energy looks, and hold that intent. Intend that the humanoid's shaped back is facing you. Its right side is now the same as your right side. Notice where the dark areas are and which are most dark. With your attention on the dark spots, rotate the image of your viewing angle so that you are looking at the side view. Then rotate that to the front view. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. Then immediately return to the viewing the health energy body of Pascal T. Repeat the last few steps and check to see if you get the same thing. Have no expectation. Make sure you have drawn it more or less correctly. Make corrections as needed. Then return to viewing the energy body of Pascal T. Return to viewing the energy body. Watch the health body as you clearly intend that the energy body no longer represents the state of Pascal T. It no longer represents his health at this moment, but that it now represents the health of this person yesterday. Move back in time one day. Use your intent to slip back in time one more day and then another. Now, similarly, move backward in time 1 week at a time until you see the black spots disappear. Keep track of the number of weeks that pass. If the black spots do not fade, go back a year at a time, and so on. When the dark spots do fade away, determine about how long ago that was. If you lose your place of where you are in time, start over. When you get to where the illness started, look at the energy body just as the illness began to manifest within the body. And at that moment, use your high-powered light energy beam to heal the illness before it dominates the body. Now slowly move back to the present time, one increment at a time, making sure the ailment did not reinsert itself between then and now. If you find the illness was reinserted, pause there at that time and heal it again. Proceed like this until you work yourself back to the present moment. Now use the beam to make the entire energy body glow with intense white light. If the white is so bright that it hurts your eyes, put on sunglasses and then make it even brighter. Intend that this energy body remains super bright, healthy white for a long, long time. Intend that the energy you have placed on Pascal T's body is so great that it will maintain the energy body in a brilliant state for a long time. Hold that intent. Now, given what we have accomplished with our healing efforts, watch this health energy body as you increment time into the possible future for at least 5 years. Remember what you see. Now repeat that last step, except intend that the result represents this person's health year by year for 5 years. If we had not intervened with our healing today, then note the difference. Now, clearly intend to see both sets of data in a graphical format. The data that shows his health 5 years later, after we have done our healing, or 5 years later if we did not do any healing. Use a graph of predicted future health versus time with and without our healing help today. On the vertical y-axis is the probability of excellent health going from 0 at the origin to a maximum of 1. On the x-axis, time goes from the present at the origin to a maximum value of 5 years. Now clearly intend that the time scale extend out to 10 years. See how the two curves automatically extend through another 5 years. Remember what you have seen. Repeat the last few steps and check to see if you get the same thing. Start with no expectations. Make sure you have drawn it more or less correctly. Make corrections as needed. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. When you are done, immediately return to floating in the void. Next, we'll do experiment 7. See or imagine a 3D humanoid outline. Intend clearly that this humanoid outline represents a healthy energy body of Gerard D as it exists at this moment. Hold that intent. Intend clearly that the energy that represents health in this energy body be white, and what represents a health problem be dark. The more serious the problem, the darker the energy looks. Hold that intent. Intend that the humanoid's shape's back is facing you. The right side is now the same as your right side. Hold that intent. Notice where the dark areas are and which are most dark. With your attention on the dark spots, rotate the image of your viewing angle so you are looking at the side view. Then rotate to the front view. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. Then immediately return to viewing the health energy body of Gerard D. Repeat the last few steps and check to see if you get the same thing. Have no expectation. Make sure you have drawn it more or less correctly. Make corrections if needed, then return to viewing the energy body of Gerard D. Use some fireplace tongs to grab any black spots and drop them into the large, sturdy, unbreakable jar sitting just to your right. After all the black spots are in the jar, put on the lid, toss the jar into the sun. Notice that when it gets into the sun, all of the black contents are instantly evaporated into disconnected elementary atoms and particles. Now, around the edges where the black had been, use a portable wet vacuum cleaner to get rid of any lingering gray places. Alternatively, you may use rubber gloves and a scalpel, dropping what you cut away again into a jar. You might use a blowtorch to burn it away, acid or a laser. If you use the vacuum, scalpel, or gloves, when you are done, use your intent to toss everything, including the scalpel and gloves, into a safe, strong container, and then toss everything into the sun. Now use your intent to direct a beam of high-powered, intensely bright light to make the entire energy body of Gerard D glow with intense light. But intend that the light itself pick the color that it should use for optimal long-term healing. Next, intend that the light itself will pick the color that it should be for optimal short-term healing. Continue until all the once dark places are glowing brightly and the entire energy is clean and bright. Intend that this energy body remains super bright and healthy for a long time. Pick a sun from the universe, compact it to the size just larger than the energy body, and place it in the energy body. Intend that the energy you have placed within the body is so great that it will keep the energy body healthy, bright, and white for a very, very long time. Hold that intent. Clearly intend that the image of the health energy body change to represent the emotional, egoic, or feeling energy body. Look at the patterns and colors within Gerard D's emotional body. Now clearly intend that the image of this feeling energy body change to represent the spiritual energy body, a body that represents the spiritual evolution of Gerard D. Look at the patterns and the colors within Gerard D's spiritual energy body. Let that image go and simply float in the void for a moment. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. Then immediately return to viewing the health energy body. Next will be experiment 8. I have taken a picture of a particular object for experiment 8. Intend to have an image of that object put on a screen or monitor in front of you. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me taking the picture of this object. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me showing you a slide of this object at the end of today's experiment. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and write down or draw what you saw each time. Then immediately return to float in the void. Next will be experiment 9. I have taken a picture of a particular object for experiment 9. Intend to have an image of that object put on a screen or monitor in front of you. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me taking the picture of this object. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me showing you a slide of this object at the end of today's experiment. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and write down or draw what you saw each time. Then immediately return to float in the void. Next, we will do experiment 10. I have taken a picture of a particular object for experiment 10. Intend to have that image show up on a screen or monitor in front of you. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me taking the picture of this object. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me showing you a slide of this object at the end of today's experiment. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and write down or draw what you saw each time. Then immediately return to float in the void. Open your eyes and let the experience go. Slowly and gradually re-embrace the physical world. After you have fully returned, write down any notes on any of the experiences you might wish to remember or any comments or questions that may have come up. Take as much time as you need. Okay, in the first one, with Pascal T, you notice we did some different things. We went forward and backward in time. We drew a graph. I had you doing a lot of different things. Now, normally you wouldn't necessarily do all those things when you were doing a healing, but I just wanted to introduce you to all these various kinds of tools. So we went forward and backward in time, no problem. We're talking about data in a database. You can go forward and backward in time in databases without any trouble at all. Okay. And we did a comparison. We did a chart of health versus time for if we did heal, and health versus time if we didn't heal. And we could look at the two lines on the same graph and see what difference we made. So these were some new elements that you didn't have before. Also, you'll notice in the other one, we used some other tools, blood torches and acid and tongs and all sorts of things, gloves. Your imagination is the limit to this, whatever seems right to you. Also notice, when we did that second one, that I had you put the gloves and the rest of the stuff into to dispose them, put them in a bucket or throw them in the sun. And there's a reason for that. And the reason has to do with our beliefs, which we get from our culture. People have a sense of, if they leave that black goo around, okay, they take some black stuff out, and if they just kind of toss it over their shoulder, they think, oh, that black goo's out there floating around someplace. Maybe it's going to get on somebody else, or maybe I'll run into it next time I'm there. And what happens is it starts a little fear process, a little fear program running inside. And even though they're not doing this intellectually, they know there's this probability. What if everybody throws black goo around out there? Is that place full of black goo that I might run into? You see? And that fear can create problems, because if that concerns you, then you're very likely to manifest that in that realm. When you're in this meditation state, in that particular virtual reality, often what you think is what you'll find. You manifest your thoughts into reality. You can be in a place like that and imagine a exquisitely delicious cherry vanilla ice cream cone, and you can lick it, you can see it, you can taste it. It's just as real, and it's just as good and just as satisfying and delightful as one here. You can create your own reality there, because it doesn't have this rule set here, whereas our rule set's real tight. We can't do things like that here. But there, you can create all sorts of things. And if you create things that are a problem for you, then you might run into problems. So it's good just to take all the stuff you work with, all your tools, and if you've got a jar and you want to put those fireplace tongs in it, well, just make the jar stretch. You can make the jar stretch if you want. If the jar is only this big and you've got fireplace tongs that are that big, just make the jar go, and you stick them in there, put on the lid, and throw them away. See, it's all intention. But the way we're made is that if we don't do that kind of cleanup after ourselves, it can affect some people. Now, most of us wouldn't notice. Most of us would just not pay much attention to that anyway, but some people will run into trouble with it. That's why I mentioned it. It's a good thing just to clean up, because that way you're not leaving these little loose ends around that will snag some part of your mind that doesn't feel right about leaving that stuff around, and that little snag can come back and bite you later. So that's why we did that. So treat your metaphor with respect. This is your metaphor, and the metaphor has to fit you well enough and has to make you focus your intent. So you do that by, doing the metaphor completely. Make the metaphor as real as you can make it for yourself. It'll do more to focus your intent if you feel it's real. And part of that realness is that you clean up afterwards. Don't litter. Even though this is just a mind game we're playing with ourselves, right? We're trying to help ourselves focus. It's not really about not littering the non-physical. It's about our minds, our intents, and how we feel about what we do, and how connected we are to our metaphors. That's what it's about. Okay, Pascal T was the first one. He had hypothyroidism. So you would have been the thyroid gland, and a defective thyroid gland, hypo means it's underproducing, sudden fatigue and mood swings. That would have been Pascal T. All right, the next was Gerard D. Okay. Now, Gerard D is where we used all the various tools. Make up your own tools that suit you. Sometimes people use magic wands. Sometimes they sprinkle fairy dust. Be creative, just whatever helps you focus your intent on what you're trying to focus on. Now with Gerard, we let the light pick its own color. And perhaps some of you just noticed that the light picked the long-term color for long-term health and picked a different color for short-term health. Just let it do what it wants, whatever is most appropriate. You don't always have to make up everything. Sometimes you can just get to a point that whatever's most appropriate is good enough. Okay. And we used the sun. Many people use the sun as a fundamental image because the sun is bright and powerful source of light, and we're trying to make these energy bodies light. And a sun is a very powerful, extremely hot, that vaporizes anything you put in it. You see, so the image, the metaphor of a sun is a powerful metaphor. So we take suns and we can place them inside of health bodies. We can take goo and we can throw it into the sun. We can shrink the sun down to it's just the size of a tumor. And we can let that sun stay there. We don't have to then get rid of it when we're done. We just let that sun stay there. And then when you think back on it, 4 or 5 hours later, just check and make sure that sun is still there shining. And maybe that's all you have to do. You know, keep that intent going. So the sun can be a very powerful metaphor. All right. Let's see. Gerard D. had prostate cancer. Okay, that takes us to experiment 8. So if you flip my slide here, we will see what experiment 8 looked like. It's a cookie cutter. Okay. You notice I moved a little faster than I did yesterday, because yesterday was all brand new to you. Today, I wanted to push you a little bit and not give you time to think too much. Just do it and look, move on. Do it, look, move on. Often, speed actually makes it easier rather than harder. All right, let's look at experiment 9. It's a pie slicer and server. Looks like I got my stuff out of the kitchen, doesn't it? But not the next one. Let's look at experiment 10. This didn't come out of the kitchen. That would have been a very unique shape with a lot of little lines going out from the center. So if you just did architectural elements, that one would have been I tried to pick shapes that were kind of clearly unique shapes. If everything's just a blob, then it's hard to distinguish. So that's one of those rubber things that's real limp and wobbly. If you're wondering what that is, that's a toy. I call it a texture toy.